Another concern that I've concluded is this one statement: Dad is destiny. Write it down. I got this statement from a cover story from Newsweek magazine. They found out that 92% of all problems in society is related to the absence of a male in the family, whether it's boys with guns or girls with babies. Dropouts of school, prisons filled with young men, all related, they say, to the absence of a father in the house.
I want to give you the threefold attack of the enemy that he does against you to destroy you when you're trying to do something great for God. The first thing he does, he wants to divide you. There is a demonic spirit that wants to send a spirit of division into your house. The enemy loves to send division in your house, whether it's between you and your spouse or you or your child. The enemy wants to send division into your house because the enemy knows the power of unity. Jesus said, a house divided against itself shall not stand. And so the enemy will do anything he can to bring a division in your house while you're not looking, while you're busy, and while you're out trying to do something right. Something wrong can be happening in your house and you not even know it. And a spirit of division had crept in the house. You'd be shocked at the people who are divorced today and cannot tell you why. You'd be shocked at the mothers who lost their children and cannot figure out what went wrong. You'd be shocked at the marriages that have become totally dysfunctional. Both of them are angry at each other and neither of them can tell you why. You'd be shocked at the people who've lost their job and still aren't sure why they lost it. It's a demon spirit. It's a foul spirit. It's a spirit of division, and it comes against your house to destroy you. You never even hear the demon open the door, and you never even hear him close it. You will be defeated if your house is divided. Not just the man, the woman too.
Here's a verse you never saw before, guaranteed. It's found in Psalm 62. It talks about exactly what's happening to the male right now in your country. Psalm 62 talks about how we are treated as males. Here's what it says in verse 3. How long will you assault a man? Would all of you throw him down? This leaning wall? This tottering fence? That's what they're doing to us. We are already leaning and they're pushing us. You could never do anything right, they say. You're just like your pa, they say. You could never succeed in anything. You are a loser. You can't even keep your children. You can't take care of your wife. You can't keep a job. They keep pushing. Look at that. How long will you assault a man? Society is assaulting us. David says they fully intend to topple him from his lofty place. Talking about man now. They take delight in lies. They lie on us. Men. They lie with their mouths and they bless. But in their hearts they curse us. He's talking about what they do to men. Listen to this. He says, but find rest, O my soul. David says, even though they try to destroy me as a male, I find my rest, O my soul, in God alone. My hope comes from him. Are you listening to me? He alone is my rock and my salvation, and he is my fortress. I will not be shaken. Men, we are in such dire straits, only God could help us. Stay with me.
And that kind of division is the beginning of total destruction. Anytime he's in one place and you're in another place, you open up a door for the devil to attack your house. All done through division, divided, two visions. Anytime you've got one vision and he's got another, the enemy is already at work. Anytime your life's goal is to prove how much you don't need him. I'm independent and I'm on my own. That's wonderful. But anytime your independence leads to alienation, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. And now he's gotten soft and touchy-feely at a time that she's distracted and she's singing, I am woman, hear me roar. Now discouragement is what brings a mighty man to acting like a weak man. And anytime the man is discouraged and the woman is distracted, the enemy destroys. You want me to say that again? Anytime the woman is distracted and the man is discouraged, that's when the enemy destroys. It's almost always a distracted woman and a discouraged man that leads him to a place of destruction. He's discouraged. She never even knows it. She's distracted. Sometimes he's discouraged because she is distracted. Somebody's got to tell you this stuff. While the church has been playing patty cake about this stuff, the devil's been coming in and destroying our marriage. And the divorce rate in the church is about to get worse than the divorce rate in the world, because church people are so busy being spiritual that nobody will admit we're spiritual, but we're not happy. Best time is church time. People going to church around the clock to avoid staying at home with somebody they don't even understand. Taking on extra jobs, don't need extra money, just need an extra excuse to get out of that house. Oh, you ain't gonna say nothing, but sit there, baby. I'm coming where you are. And I know you can't say anything because y'all got to hold up your image, but I'm gonna be hard on your image today because I'm coming after you.
So here's what I call the male's mind today. Most of you could relate to this list. Men don't feel the power of self-confidence anymore. They don't feel the power of social roles anymore. Men don't feel the power of their masculinity anymore. That's why many of them are not sure whether they are men. Many men don't feel like they're wanted by women anymore. How many women have you met who said to you, I don't need your car, I don't need your money, I don't need your house, I don't need nothing from you, I got everything myself. And some of you married women that are making you feel like dirt because when you met her, she had babies and house already. And then she puts pressure on you by saying, why don't you be a man? Well, you don't know what to be a man. You don't know what that means anymore. Because when your father was a man, it was easy. Remember? Being a man in your father's era was very easy. To be a man meant he had to go to work, bring home the bacon, build a house, provide the groceries, and pay for the kids. A woman's job was to keep the house, cook the food, and nurse the babies. Everybody was clear. Today, that's finished. To be a man, you don't know what it is to be a man anymore. I mean, so do I buy a house? She got a house. Do I buy a car? She got two. Do I give her children? She came with 3 of them already. Do I buy groceries? She owns the refrigerator. Should I give her money? She bought on the pig, not just the bacon. She making more than me. So now the guy is stuck. So what am I supposed to do to be a man now in this house? And that's your problem right now. Your problem is you don't feel wanted anymore. How many times have women threatened you? If you don't do what I say, you can get out. This is my house. You remember the days when your father was a man? He used to say, this is my house, and I wear the pants in this house. She wear pants too now. It's tough to be a man. Men don't feel needed anymore. Of course she doesn't need you. Her salary is higher than yours. She owns the condominium. The car you driving is her car. The TV you're watching is her TV. And the food in the refrigerator is her food and the fridge. And she tell you to be a man. That's why a lot of men don't know what to do. They don't feel appreciated, they don't feel respected, they don't feel secure. That's why many men act like women. They are feminized because they are threatened by the woman. Because you see, the problem is the woman don't know what she's doing to you. She needs help too, because she's destroying your masculinity.
I was watching on CNN the other day, and they were talking about how these women and these scientists have been working in the laboratory because, quite frankly, men are going out of style. There are women today that they don't even think they need a man. This back in the 70s, this women's lib movement, we're still seeing the fallout from the after effects of this I am woman, hear me roar mentality that's taken over the world, and it's even crept into the church. It's one thing to be independent, but this has gone beyond being independent in the arrogance. They don't even think they need a man. You got women today talking about, I'm having a baby, but I don't want no husband. I don't want a husband because I don't need a man for anything. What can he do for me that I can't do for myself? It's a lesbian spirit. It needs to be driven out of the house of the Lord. Yeah, that's right. Get mad and walk out, but at least you heard me on your way out. It's a lesbian spirit, and it needs to be driven out of the house of the Lord. Now, how you like that? Now they're sitting up here playing with test tubes, talking about they've just about worked it out where two women can get together and have a baby without a man. What kind of foolishness with this? We keep fooling with these genetics and we're playing God. We're going to create something we won't be able to control after a while. You better let God's plan arise and his enemies be scattered. When God created the man, it wasn't no optional creation. It wasn't no accident. He wasn't no Johnny come lately idea that God said, well, I guess I'll give the baby a father. The devil is a lie. God created a man in the likeness and the image of God, and there was a role for the man to play that cannot be imitated and cannot be duplicated. And when you got a good man, you ought to take care of him, because a good man is hard to find. I know you're a great woman and a tough woman and a strong woman, but it doesn't weaken you at all to appreciate having a good man. He's a dying species and he's a rare commodity, and when he comes home he ought to find somebody that's either rubbing on his head or putting oil on his feet, because he's been out on the battlefield and he's been in a whole lot of fights, and if you got one, you better hold on to him, because they're hard to come by. Oh, y'all ain't gonna say nothing to me, but I'm gonna ride this horse to the ground today.
Sometimes men pretend to be women. They have no identity. Most men lost their role. They don't know what it is to be a man in society or in the home. They lost their sense of significance. They feel that they are not important to the world anymore. And the average man, that's why he drinks and is in gangs and he kills and he shoots and he domestically violates his family, because he is a man who has no sense of value. He has no vision. He lost his sense of importance. He also lost his sense of authority. How many men are afraid to lift their voice in their own house? The children that live in your house ain't yours. So what do you do with them when they curse you back? They tell you, you're not my daddy. I mean, this is frightening to some men. That's why a lot of you men, I know you're quiet in here. We're going to deal with this stuff. You go home to her children, and you've been married for 5 years, and the kids call you by your first name. No authority. And you can't correct them when they curse and do foolishness. You can't even correct them. There's no authority in the house. So you feel like a slave, like a dog. That's what men are dealing with today. And they are in this room. Men lost the sense of respect.
You can brag all you want to about being able to bring in the bacon and fry it up in the pan. But I want to tell you something, woman. Going out there and getting the bacon and coming home and cooking the bacon and carrying the carton out in the trash and setting the trash out every morning by yourself and playing man and woman might be fun when you're 20. It might be fun when you're 20, but as life passes and seasons roll, you're gonna get tired of playing the Hulk. And it is easier. Two are better than one. That's what the Bible said. Woe unto the one that falleth alone, because you have not another to pick him up. Alone is not that good. It is so bad that it's been proven that old folks live longer if they don't have a companion, if you give them a cat. Some old women stay alive to feed a cat. So don't glorify being alone. It's not that good. Anytime you're so desperate for company that you'll stay alive for a cat, it has boiled down to a low grade.
And then men are also trying to live with a woman in the 21st century. It's almost impossible to live with a woman in the 21st century, because she doesn't need nothing from you. You buy a woman a gift, she said that's cheap. I mean, break your heart. You can't buy a car, she got 2 of them. You can't buy her clothing, she got a closet full when you met her. So men are struggling with how to live with a woman who has everything. And when you meet a woman who has her own house, her own car, refrigerator, food, clothes, and everything else, and you move into the house after you get married, it ain't your house. So there's that fear that stays with you all during them years. You're afraid to conflict with her. You're afraid to challenge her because she might put you out. Am I talking to anybody here?
Push me, I'll belabor the point and prove to you, but when a man walks into a situation, he has all kinds of obstacles to deal with, not only from other women, but also from other men. And by the time the man gets back home, he's been through hells that he never even mentions, and fights that he never even talks about, and belittling and demeaning circumstances that he has to swallow down every day and try to hold on to his integrity and still feel like a man, while the system is intent in treating him like a boy. It takes a lot to keep getting up out of the bed every morning and running into situations on your job and in the street and everywhere you go. And I'm not minimizing that women don't run into tough situations, because I know you do, and I respect you, and I've been your advocate for years. But let me tell you, there is a vast difference between what a woman encounters on the job and what a man encounters on the job.
You know what made my father feel valuable? When my mother told him, "Thank you for bringing home food. Thank you for having a roof over our heads. Thank you for providing for the kids." That made him feel valuable. But you don't hear that no more today, because the kids under the roof are hers.
And a man develops a Superman, what I call a Superman complex. He wants to be everybody's Superman. He puts on his boots, he's got on his cape, and he wants to leap off of buildings in single bounds and fix everybody's situation. But the moment they find out that Superman is really Clark Kent, they don't know how to deal with it, and sometimes he doesn't know how to tell them, because he's ashamed to admit that your hero is really human. And in the face of kryptonite, because every man in this room has his own brand of kryptonite, and in the face of kryptonite, it will sap your strength. If you want the real truth, there are some days that we want to fall apart on you. The truth of the matter is, we generally swallow it and keep on smiling, because it is hard for men to accept areas of failure. We gravitate to areas of success. We love to do whatever we do well and ignore whatever we don't do well.
Do you know why every man loves comic books? Let me tell you why you love comic books. Because they remind you of you. All of us are two men in this room. That's why you love those characters. Everybody got a Superman and a Clark Kent, and you never want us to see Clark. We love Batman, but Bruce Banner is a problem.
And to a man that's a winner, it's hard to lose. Are there any winners in here? A winning mighty man of valor, losing makes you sick. It makes you sick. The cold taste of bile coming up in your mouth at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning is your masculine secret. While she sleeps, you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and wonder, do you still have what it takes? Because that last one took so much out of you that you're smiling, but your joy is gone, and the gleam has gone out of your eye, and you're screaming though your lips don't open. And the worst part of the masculine scream is that the feminine ear cannot hear our frequency.
You know what's amazing is when your wife discovers Bruce. My God, I discovered something. If you tell your wife about Clark, she will have a greater respect for Superman. I remember the day when I decided to tell my wife about Bruce Banner. We were early in our marriage, and I told her, look, let me tell you a part of me that you need to know. And I need you to help me strengthen and get rid of that person. And when I shared it with my wife, she hugged me. She said, nothing a woman wants more from a man than honesty. And what she said to me, she said, you just made me love you more. From that day, my wife has been the solution to my weakness. She protects that area of my life all those years until it's down to 0. She's made me Superman every day.
I am in a dilemma, and I've not resolved it yet. I don't know whether to call the men in a room by themselves, because I find that men open up better when they're by themselves than they are with their women. But I'm torn between two ideas, because if we deal with everything alone, the women will never understand what it's like to be us. And I think there are some women who really could benefit from knowing what it is like to be a man. You've got all kinds of women's magazines and women's talk shows and women's outreach and women's ministry, but when it comes to men, there's nobody talking to men. Oh yeah, we got a few magazines about biceps, triceps, and how to get Viagra at a cheaper price, but when it comes down to really dealing with what's going on in your heart, there is nobody talking to men who didn't expect you to keep on performing and keep on dancing like mama's little dancing bear. I'm not blaming her, I'm explaining. Now he begins to whimper. He's fallen and he can't get up. And he is discouraged, and he can't tell anybody that he's discouraged. And he's dealing with all kinds of pressure and all kinds of issues. Discouraged means you've lost your courage. It means that I am tired of encouraging everybody and telling everybody that everything is going to be okay. It means that I'm tired of being there for you. And it means that I'm tired of you collapsing on me. It means that today I want to collapse on you. Discouraged means your courage ran out on you before your fight was over. And here, ladies, is where bitterness breaks out in the heart of men, because a man can be discouraged and never tell you. He can be discouraged and still come home every night. And he can get up out of the bed every day and move about his chores and be secretly discouraged. And I hate to be this brutal and this honest and this transparent, but ladies, he can have sex and be discouraged. In fact, he can have it and be unhappy, and he can have it and be miserable, and he can have it and send you flowers for your anniversary and still want to leave. Because somebody's got to tell you, because when you get the flowers, you think it's a sign that, y'all don't want me to talk to you, but doing what is expected of you is something you can train a seal to do. You can train a monkey to jump through a rope. You can train an elephant to stand on one leg, but just because he stands on one leg doesn't mean that the elephant is happy or the monkey is fulfilled. And I've seen some men sit in the chair of discouragement for 30 years and turn into old men if we don't die to get out of it. That's why we died 10 to 15 years earlier than you. Men often die just to get out of what they cannot conquer. That's where we're headed, men, if we sit in the seat of discouragement. And if you don't end up there, you'll end up in that other chair, you know, that angry chair, that bitter, resentful chair where you feel like everybody used you and nobody was there for you, and you become venomous and nasty and hateful, and you become abusive because you're angry. You know, the old men in the nursing home that curse out all the nurses. They're just old enough and cantankerous enough to finally tell you what they were thinking when you were asking them, what are you thinking about? Now he's old, now he's ready to tell you, you know what I think? When we were little, you were the ones who encouraged us. I don't care what they told you down at that school, you still mama's little man. You mama's little man, you stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up, you mama's little man, you know you can do it. You know you can do it because you know what mama believes in you. And you don't pay them people no mind down at that school because I put good stuff in you. And when you go back to school tomorrow, you hold your head up and your back straight because mama got your back. What we can't figure out is why you stopped encouraging us. And we died on the battlefield fighting, and everything we did was for you. It was for you. I know we didn't give you us. I know we should have given you us. We gave you things, but the things were for you. The house was for you. The dishwasher was for you. The car, it was for you, baby. It was for you. It was all for you. And we took the bruises for you, and we took the pain for you, and we took the beating for you because we thought you were worth it. And we took all of it just so that you could come home and run us some water and say, you mama's man.
Let me just drive this home very quickly. Why is the male so important? Because the male is God's strategy for ruling the earth. That's why the pressure's on you. The devil is so afraid of men because the male is God's foundation for his human family. The devil is not afraid of women, I'm telling you. He don't care how many of them come to church and worship God. Keep the men out of God's presence because the devil knows the strategy.